Yeah. As a family, we've taken a decision not to go into the merits or otherwise of this matter. We believe in the competency of the investigative bodies, the Ghana Police and allied agencies that are involved. And we are trusting that they will do justice to the matter. And so whether one person is arrested or not, yes, we'll be happy that any step that is taken that is leading to uncovering the truth, the family will be happy. But we are not in the business of going into the nitty-gritties of this matter because we trust in the Ghana Police Service that even if it's 1,000 people who are involved, they will arrest them and justice will be met at the family.
Assembly member for the area, Persis Kwashi, also expressed frustration and concern over the unfortunate incident. He also called on the government to create more opportunities for the youth and use the platform to wish the family well.
After this incident, the information I'm picking is that one of the boys, Nicholas, is a very bad boy. He's staying with his grandparents. We don't know the mother, we don't know the father, but he's staying with the grandparents. And last 3 days, Tuesday, I spoke with the grandmother, and according to the grandmother, the boy about 4 months ago stole some Alaji's money. He was taken to the police station. He stayed in the cells for about 4 days. I think that one of the biggest problems in my electoral area, and it seems not only my electoral area, is unemployment. Most of the youth are not having anything to do. Those who have completed even university are not working. And sometimes, like the old adage says, the devil finds work for the idle hands. And sometimes these are some of the things that happen. As an assemblyman, how am I going to create job for this number of youth? It's not easy. So sometimes the government has to come in. Yeah, they are scared, yes, and they are in a state of mourning too. What we'll tell them is that they should all be patient, they should be calm. Police are handling it, and such incidents will not occur anymore.
Queen Mother for the area, Manye Cheisewa I, also expressed shock at the murder of Ishmael Abdullah. According to her, the boys have committed an abominable act which has desecrated the stew. The two suspects, Nicholas Kene and Felix Ananinyako, aged 19 and 18 years respectively, according to the victim's family, lured the 10-year-old boy identified as Ishmael Mensah into an uncompleted building in the vicinity on April 3, 2021 and hit him with a pickaxe, killing him instantly. Mother of the deceased, Hajia Sahadatu Abdullah, who couldn't hold back her tears, narrated the unfortunate incident that led to the loss of her youngest child, who she believed would have grown into a fine gentleman to contribute his quota towards the country's development.
Saturday, at the patch, me no amunina, and you have fine. The addition of Bianum so be pepper be Biacanano. No baby Quawako. Timino Mohayani Hatsana. Anumuti. Ye yana on all coin laptop, and all the Bapoloco Soccer and all the Habu game and Miss Baby and Mrs. Staten. The Medawas are Namatimi, Miss not to one of Miss Ishmael. I was saying on Sabon night, and Miss Send them a say about Levin, no one enemy. Levin never soon her friends say a kumeba. Nipia opien dear Mada, Mida or Mudemuha. Tamuna would pray any dear mintimintre. Near Meunsa Medawa and his sister Dimrikabai. Mamma Yakum Ishmael, Yakumun, and why now Kumun, or the whole Mubo game, why now Kumun, or some Yakum Ishmael.
She further stated that the boys did not only plan to kill her child, but also plotted to make it look like a kidnapping in order to demand a ransom of 5,000 Ghana cedis, which they would have eventually sent to the money doubler, who is at the middle of the entire incident for the rituals.
na ɔsɛ nkwadaa ne sɛ woma bi yɛ ɔsɔfo maame ɔkɔmfo to ɔmo hu no TV so ɛna ɔmo yi ne namba to woma na ɛka sɛ ɔmo pɔpɛni akwadaa a wɔnyi to ɔmo hwɛ ha nyina ɔmo anyɛ obiara agye sɛ Ishmael Madewi. Di kasa no mu na me omo kire me se o si nkoda ne se maame ni so omo fa sa akwada ne mra any 50 million na
fone se omo fa
and ne 50 million emra omo nya akwada a wo virgin akwada be ma any 50 million na omo di ba omo nya scam omo ada omo boka bi di mi hu ti bi da opesa wanda sa kanu
sa enkola mienu no se omo pesa omo da Range Rover mu
last week Monday omo no omo nkoda di agro omo ka say next week it send na e de kam
yes akola 17 ni 14 omo di djuma no
omo ku mi ba no omo asie nu na samehwe akwada na mba boa me na omo akobo obi amane na nipa na frame so omo pe 50 million na omo di me ba brem nti mi di 50 million no mo ma na omo di aka akwada no ho na omo di akoma maame no.
An interaction with Muhammad Danjuma, uncle of the deceased, also revealed that the oldest boy, Nicholas Kene, has gained notoriety for wrongdoing in the area after raping a young girl and threatening the life of another.
The show, good evening. This is The Couch. My name is Pratt. You know, the video that we have been watching is really pretty quite disturbing. You know, disturbing for a lot of reasons. I still have not fully come to terms with all the details of this issue. You know, the more you hear about it, the more worried you get as a parent, as somebody who lives in the society, as somebody who is just concerned about security, and even, you know, kids and how we are bringing them up and the kind of, you know, adults they would be and all of these issues. So it's all around troubling, you know, if you sit back to think about or unpack the issues that come up from this Kaswa ritual murder. Last week we tried to discuss, understand, and find our way clear, you know, profess some solutions if possible. This week we are trying to continue on the same, you know, we don't want this to become another issue that comes up. We talk, we shelve it, nothing happens, and we just go on with life, you know, as usual. This time, we want to talk for as long as we can, and hopefully we want to insist on some solutions or some action being taken on this issue. This evening, we are continuing with the conversation on the Kaswa ritual murder. This time we are looking at all the fallouts from that issue. So we are looking at the child rights issues as comes up from this. We'll also look at some of the legal implications or the legal angles that this specific issue throws up at all of us as a society. I will not be having this conversation by myself. I have been joined by the experts in the studio. I have with me Mr. Berima Akwesiamankwa. He happens to be the National Coordinator for GNCRC. If you remember last week he was here for the same conversation. Hello, sir. It's great to see you again. It's great to see you again. Thank you. Thank you for coming again.
Most welcome.
we are waiting for Faisal Ibrahim Sisse. He happens to be a legal practitioner. Hopefully, he will join us pretty shortly. Mr. Mankwa.
Yes, Ama.
Does it get easier with time? Does it become less shocking with time? Are you less shocked watching that documentary now than you were when you heard about it the first time?
I think one of the things that we need to understand is that nature have it that time and time we grieve over things and then we sometimes forget about it. But I believe strongly time and time we need to look at what kind of measures can we put in place to ensure that at this particular moment we are coming out with a specific recommendation, and that is laws, to say that this is what we are going to use to govern or protect our children. That is very critical, because they said that we use people's name to create laws. So when such situations come, how do we as a society come together and say that not again from this time around, we want to prevent it so that it doesn't happen again. So it's very reflective moment for us to see how best we can really push the agenda and ensure that we get it to the latter. We shouldn't let it be as one of the normal talk shows or one of the normal talk that as a country we will engage ourselves in, but rather we should go beyond that and see that, okay, on this day we came out with this policy, we came out with this law, that never again, this should not happen. So those are some of the things that we need to be looking at.
Okay. So immediately let's begin. You are the child rights expert. I mean, you observed the incident the day it happened. You all saw the videos.
How it was reported to an adult, how he handled it. The police was called in. We've seen videos of when they were being put into the car. They were sending them away. We've seen videos of when they went into court. We'll get into those issues with lawyer. We'll have a nice conversation. But, from the way you've seen us handle this issue up until this time, as a child rights activist, and they are all kids, from Ishmael to the two who did the unthinkable, all of them are kids. What are the child rights issues that immediately, caught your attention from all of this?
I think first and foremost, one of the things that caught my attention is one, what kind of protective safe net have we given to our children in such a way that they will feel safe within our society? When we talk about the protective safe net, we are looking at the environment, the things that they watch, the things that they listen to, the things that they smell. What kind of safety net are we giving to our children so that the environment will be so sanitized in such a way that they will be thinking positively? Another thing that also comes to mind is the element relating to parental responsibility.
Right.
How do parents ensure that their children are at the right place at the right time? Very, very critical. If you live in a compound house, wherever you are, I think you should have a responsibility towards your child in such a way that whatever your child is doing, you should be in the know.
Is it practical?
Very, very practical. I don't see the reason why it shouldn't be practical. Because if you are in the house of your child and your child comes and tell you, I'm going to play, you should know the kind of people that your child is going to play.
Listening to the mother, she thought her son was playing a video game.
Voila. And here is the case, the son is gone out. So at that material moment, as a mother, even when within the span of time, you are not seeing your child, what is your immediate reaction? All those things are things that as parents...
Even to the case that we do our best and we pray to God to help us. Because practically speaking, how practical is it that you know at every point in time where your child is?
I think as a society, we are losing sight of one critical thing, and that is communicating with our children.
Right.
Very, very essential, but it's really, really missing within our society. And it's time we really take a reflection and see that how do we improve upon our communication with our children. Because if your child was playing game, definitely if he was about to go out, he's going to inform the parent that I'm going out to do this or that. But here's the case, perhaps there might be disconnect of communication between the child and the parent, because maybe the child felt that, oh, he's being what do you call it, in a hostile environment, and for that matter, if I go out, that's going to be fine with me, so let me sneak out and go. So all those things are nitty-gritty things that we need to nip it to ensure that when we improve upon it and your child is even going, how many parents even accompany their child when they are going to play? These are very, very critical things that we need to look at. That if your child is going to do this, you support the child. You don't leave out everything to the child. And then you, as the adult, participate in it. And then see what your child is doing. At a classroom, how many parents will even take one day to go to the school to observe how their children are relating with even other children in school? These are critical things that as parents we need to adopt, and then take one day off our duties, go and even sit back and see how our children are relating with their colleagues, their mannerism, their communication, and other things. These are things that as parents we need to be picking out, and then it will help us improve on the communication with our children. These are critical things.
I've just learned something just now, you know, and it's very important to me. I think what I'm learning from what you're saying now is that I should insist on my child alerting me at every point.
At every given time.
I should never let it be an issue that we take for granted. Such
Not
that
at all.
it should never be okay for him to step out without letting me know that no matter how not far he's going, you know, not far. So it shouldn't be okay for him to step out without telling mommy. At any point in time, mommy, I'm going here. I'm going to be here. And once he says to me, I'm going to be here, it should, you know, I think that we need to set those boundaries early and make those things a part
of us,
of our everyday culture.
When some of us were growing up in a more compound house, these were things that our parents taught us. If you are going to play, tell me where you are going to play. So if I need you, I know directly where you are coming. But here is the case now, that kind of communication is breaking out. So even when a child leaves the house, the father, the mother, the guardian doesn't know where the child is going, which is very, very critical. And it happens that this one is a murder case. But beyond that, kidnapping, even beyond kidnapping, there are issues of sexual abuse, violence, and other things that the children do not report because perhaps they might have been threatened that they shouldn't report.
Or he went somewhere he didn't tell you. So now that something has happened to him there, he can't come back and tell you.
And those are very essential and very strong things that happen to our children that it can stay with them for the rest of their lives. It can make them pick up a behavior. It can let them change their attitude. It can even help them to underperform in class. All those things are things that parents we need to be watching so that our children do not fall into that. Most people that, for instance, have cancelled, when they are defiled, they were defiled at a very tender age. And because there wasn't any communication between them and their parents, here is the case that their parents, they never mention it to their parents, which is very critical. And for that matter, it has stayed with them for many years. So even when they have reached adulthood, that they are supposed to, for instance, have sexual relation, they can't because they have been in that pain for over a long time. So those are the most important things that we need to distinguish between as parents and ensure that our children always communicate. Let them tell us their problems, and let's see how best we can help them
resolve these
problems.
Right. Okay. Other issues that you want to flag out?
Yes, another issue that I want to flag out got to do with the community responsibility. I think the last time that I came here, I talked about it. Now, we don't create that environment for children to feel safe. I'm saying this because if you look at, for instance, chiefs selling land and other things, at first you used to have playing ground where children can even go to play. All those things are things that as community we need to be protecting. We need to be protecting in such a way that the children, if you have a pool of children going to play, this one they are playing here, this ones are playing here, even those thinking will not come on board. But when we leave them to themselves, that you have to find for yourself. You have to do things for yourself. Those are the challenges that comes to play. And now many parents leave television to train their children for them. You get it, cartoons and other things that their children should watch and pick a behavior.
Right.
And those are the things that they practice, and then it has effect on society. So we need to be looking at how do we address this situation, and then our children will be free to live.
Right. Right. Welcome, Faisal Ibrahim to say.
Thank you, my only sweet sister.
Oh, it's great to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see you. I miss you.
I missed you
And
too.
I miss your viewers also, your cherished viewers. I don't know
great
whether
to
I
have
can
you
go
back.
ahead and apologize for coming in late. I did so because we have just began the holy month of Ramadan today, and these are very prayerful periods.
Right.
You know, so I had to break my fast and offer some prayers. So I prayed for you,
Thank you.
and I prayed for all our cherished viewers
We
too, and
thoroughly
and your
appreciate.
crew.
We really truly appreciate
Yes,
your prayers.
yes, yes.
So welcome, Faisal.
Thank
It's
you,
great to
Amma.
see you. As
Yeah.
a lawyer, we're
Right.
looking at all the issues we flag up from what has transpired so far. So, you know, as a lawyer, I mean, you've seen the whole process from when the issue came up, how they were bundled into the car, you know, taking them to court, the issues that have come up since then. What's your initial reaction? What are the things you said were like, we could have done this better for all sides, you know, for Ishmael who was murdered, for the two who did the act? Let's flag up the issues.
Okay, I'll commence by speaking as a father,
Right.
and let me also express my condolences to the family. I understand they are Muslims, so he was buried some few days ago. It was it's a matter that I couldn't even wrap my head around. To hear young, you know, children of that age wanting to kill, to take out human parts, allegedly for human sacrifice or rituals, to get money. It told me one thing, that our society is getting twisted to a point where we seem to have lost our moral values. For me, it is the most essential element that I think the discussion on this matter should center on. Our values. Our values. Our values. From the way a young boy of 17, 18, 16 to sit and conceive that I can make money by killing another. It's a depiction of how terrible our Ghanaian society has sunk. And we shouldn't put too much blame on the kids. They are only a reflection of what is happening in our society.
All of us.
All of us, in whichever sphere. And I've held the view for a long time that, Amma, if our values were right, Ghana would have developed far, far, far faster than we are going. Because if our values are right, if you're a journalist, you're a policeman, you're a military man, you're a politician, you're a public officer, you're a lecturer, you're a teacher, you're a mason, you're a cobbler, you're a fisherman, you sell granite paste in the market, you sell powdered pepper in the market. All of us, if we were sticking to values like hard work, commitment, seeking better name than riches, honesty, being honest, if we're sticking to these values that we've been taught since we were kids, I'm telling you, what we saw with these kids would never have happened. Because how could a child conceive that I will want to drive a Range Rover by Easter Monday, that expects me, you see me soon? How do we glorify so much material possession that a child of the age can conceive that this is what I want to do? Because he knows that those who have acquired this material wealth are worshipped, are adored, are given all the privileges, are given the high table. They sit at the front row. In the mosque, they contribute. Their names are mentioned. Allah so and so has provided this money we are using to buy so and so for the mosque. Everybody should pray for him. And when everybody prays for him, you go to the church, sit at the front row, you contribute, harvest. Look, these are the things that we should be talking about, because when we get those things right, it will reflect in everything. And I don't know what we can do at this point, because I think we keep going down and down and down, and for me it's a worry. We need to get back to our values. If we don't get it back, we will talk about this, trust me, next year, and it will be more bizarre than what we have seen. And I feel really, really, really hurt and really concerned that my young children are coming up. Would they be thinking the same way?
Right.
That they must acquire Range Rover, drive it, so that people can give them the respect they deserve? How about hard work, sacrificing for your nation, making a name, so that in 3-4 generations to come, today, a name like Pratt, trust me, it's a name that is going to be institutionalized. Your father has done it, you're going to do yours, you go. These are the things that we should be telling the kids. You see, that you make a name, you do so well, you leave the scene, your child comes, that's because of the name of the father, like a Wallace, a Mahama. Today, if you are Mahama, you're not related to Mahama, you are likely to enter a place and get certain favors because of a Mahama. Are you following what I'm saying? So why are we not pushing for such things? Inventors who have invented stuff, so that people are coming up and are thinking, my great grandfather was so and so, I also want to be. So it's not about this material. They come along the way, but if you make it to be the end, and now it looks like everybody is going for it and everybody wants to drive it.
It's the ultimate.
I mean, I went to a restaurant last week. Very young guys. I'm sure they're in SS. And the car passed, and they are pointing the car, and they are discussing what is in the car. And I was looking at them quietly. I mean, they are discussing like, oh yeah, this one, no, it's a white man who's driving it. This guy is the one that has so and so. I'm like, me, I'm not thinking about cars. So if these are the discussion that goes on in the minds of our young ones, then it tells us where we are going. And we need to come back. We need to come back. Yeah. So now coming back to the legal point. And to be honest with you, Amma, many of the things that are taking place as far as those cases are concerned, it's not in accordance with the law.
Yeah.
I mean, many people are not too happy to hear it, but it's the truth. Because we're going to go by the law as far as those cases are concerned. One of the most fundamental things that we need to determine is their ages. As it stands now, I've heard so many ages flying here and there. There's a daily graphic report I read that says 16 and 17. Yeah. That's for the two accused, well, let me say juveniles, you know. And if the age is 16 and 17, then honestly speaking, for many who, you know, it's a natural thing that one person is accused of killing the other, especially a young 10-year-old. The tendency is for society to call for blood, irrespective of what the law says.
Right.
So everybody is saying, this case could conceive this and execute it. Then there are no more kids. Don't treat them as kids. Throw their ages away. Some even say, why won't we just hang them and bandy them around for everybody to see that this, if you commit such a heinous crime, this is the punishment that will befall you. But we are working with the laws. And one of the things that I think we need to settle, and it was good the AG has actually directed the CID to come to a firm conclusion for the prosecution to know what are their ages.
Right.
Is one indeed 18, the other 16? Is one 17 and 16? If you want to determine it, and I'm saying that their ages are below 18, then we're going to be in for a long ride, because worst case scenario.
Hold on.
Okay.
I want you to hold on there.
Okay.
We'll come back to you on the same issue.
Right.
Let me come to Mr. Mankwa. How do we determine ages of kids? You were educating me before the show. I want you to give us that education. We'll come back to lawyer, and he will expand on what he was saying. How do we because even the parents of one of the children, I understand, say they don't know his age.
I think fundamentally, every child, when is giving birth to, is supposed to have a birth certificate.
Right.
But in most cases, or some cases, a lot of parents do not take importance to it, and they don't give. So the child will be walking without that one. In the event the child doesn't have, we have what we call the baptism certificate. In the event the child is a Christian, they baptize them, and then they are given certificate. On it is their date of birth. We also use the first day at school, the enrollment, to also check the age as well. Then also medically, we also use, the doctors use what they count the teeth.
They count the teeth.
It's supposed to have some number. So if you have that one, they can determine whether you are above 18 or below 18 years. And they can also do a test on your bone to also check whether you are also below the age of 18 or above 18. So those are the categories that they use, and then we'll be able to determine the age that will.
So it's possible for us to make a determination.
Yeah, very easily for us to make the determination. So for me, people should not be so much
fixated on that.
Yes, about it.
Okay.
And then
it can be determined.
It can be determined.
Lawyer, let's come back to you.
Yeah, I think my brother has just spelled out what it is. In fact, that is what is in the law.
Right.
The Juvenile Justice Act, Section 19, spells out the things that he mentioned. So we are looking at birth certificates, baptismal certificates, or a certificate signed by a medical officer to show the age, that the age of the child or the person or the juvenile is below 18. And one important point that I will have to put across is that in our criminal laws, any person below the age of 12 doesn't qualify to commit an offense.
Right.
So if you are below the age of 12, even if you commit an offense, it is not an offense.
It's not an offense.
Because you don't have the criminal intent to commit the offense. Now it's between these ages of above 12 to below 18 that you can be regarded as a juvenile. And a juvenile is really a child of that below the age of 18 who has come in conflict with the law, not committed an offense.
Right.
They're not referred to as an offender, properly so called. Right. Unlike in other cases, if you're an adult, then you can be referred to as a suspect. In this case, they say juvenile. You just come in conflict with the laws. And one of the most important principles is the interest of the juvenile. Right from the beginning of the arrest, this is where my issue to do with all that has taken place comes in. Because even during arrest, investigation, prosecution, things, rights that the child has or the juvenile has include privacy. You must not disclose any information. If you're a policeman, you're an investigator, you're a prosecutor, you must not disclose any information that leads to the identification of the child. During arrest, he's supposed to be arrested in a more dignified manner in the interest of the child.
You're supposed to protect him.
You're supposed to protect him right from the beginning to the end. Worst case scenario, like I wanted to mention earlier, even when they have been found guilty of a serious offense, which includes rape, murder, defilement, indecent assault, the highest term for detention, not imprisonment, detention, is 3 years. That's the highest. You see, and this is the case where we got cameramen there, they captured everything, and it was put out there. Now their picture is everywhere.
Everybody knows what they look like.
This is a clear violation of the law, and it's actually an offense. You can be charged, or you can be in prison for a term for up to 12 months.
Lawyer, let's unpack this for a minute. Now, based on what happened and how it happened, to be fair to the police, you know, who did the arresting, because I've seen the video, they prevented people from hitting them. I've seen one policeman who was constantly warding off the people who wanted to strike at the boys. So I think they did the best they could under the circumstances, because they were almost caught in the act, literally. And today, in this era of social media, people will just bring out their phones and start filming. I don't think that it was a real camera. There were no real cameras there. There was no media. All the footages we've seen so far have been from people's phones. And it's practically impossible to control a situation like that, isn't it?
It's very practically possible to control it. That is why we have the, what did they call it, the cybercrime unit.
Right.
And now we have, just escaped me, the internet. Those who look at the internet, that is the cyber. Because the system, if the systems was working efficiently, these images quickly should have been blocked from the system.
Oh.
So that we then begin to look at whether they are really children or not.
Let me play the devil's advocate, and those are conversations, so anybody can jump in at any time. Let's have a free-flow conversation. Let me play the devil's advocate. Now, I mean, what they have done, it's a serious... I mean, let's talk.
if you are looking
this
at
is a serious something. Because I don't want to use the word crime and fall into lawyer's trap of, because they are kids. And I'm playing the devil's advocate. I know that what I'm going to say is very controversial. Lawyer probably would tell me that I cannot say that. But subsequent conversations, and we saw that in the documentary that was airing, we actually cut it just at that time, where people within the community are telling stories of all of the previous things, especially with one of the boys, that have happened. There's an accusation of rape, the other accusations of other conflicts with the law situations that are very grave. So there's a pattern here. Are we going to play the ostrich and say kids, children again, and give them 3 years and reintroduce them into society?
That is,
and wait till they are adults to do something more
that is why,
serious?
That is why it's important we are having this discussion.
Right.
There are elements of crime that happens in communities that people think that it can be settled, and that they go ahead and settle it, forgetting that it is out of their control to do that settlement. Now, there are people who want to throw back the ball to us and tell us that those individual or that child has committed a crime. Did they report it?
When it happened, when the first one happened.
Perhaps if that by the time that it happened, at that time they reported it, there could have been what we call correctional measures meted out to the child, so that the child will be corrected in such a way that he wouldn't have found himself in where he found himself now. But here is the case: as a society, we thought that it was cool, it was normal. Oh, it was just a sexual, violence that happened in the community, and we took it as normal.
2 children, let's settle it.
Yeah, and we took it as normal, and now they are doing bigger things, and we want to do what? Crucify them. Oh, that's not possible. It's, as lawyer said, it's a reflection because of our inability to act. Now it's reflecting back to us. Right. And now we want to punish them. That is not possible.
Right. I kind of side with you one way or the other. Well, let's hear you.
You see, yes, what they've done, like I mentioned, even the law for Juvenile Justice Act describes it, the alleged offense, which is murder, it's a serious offense. Right. So indeed it's a serious offense. But the principle or the philosophy behind the law is that the interest of the child is primary and fundamental. At every step of the way, it is the interest of the child that is being looked at. And you see, one thing we must bear in mind is the position of the child in society. Who is a child? A child is a vulnerable person who must be taken care of by the society. So if you see him behave in certain behavior, then it should tell you the society may have failed him.
Right.
So in actual fact, he is actually a victim of the society in which he lives. So when you look at it from that point of view, then you see that the child is actually a victim. Because for all you know, like I said, one of the tips that I heard was that he had mentioned to somebody that he was going to drive a Range Rover by Easter Monday. Who's the Easter Monday that had just passed? So what is going through his mind? This is a child who has just born, clean mind, has no idea right, wrong. Society is supposed to teach him that. And society has failed him by making him think that buying a Range Rover by Monday was paramount.
Yeah.
So as far as the law is concerned, a child of that age below 18 doesn't have the proper mind to assess what is right or wrong. But if, for all you know, it is broken home, it is lack of parental care, all these things that matter in shaping up the mind and soul and thought of a child are things that he has never gotten. And he's gone out, spoken to friends, because in one of the documents that I heard, he used to go to church. But at the point he stopped. He started moving with, in quotes, bad friends. So that is part of the socialization effort. So he goes to know that, oh, these are the things you need to have a car. Look, I said on a radio station where I grew up in Newtown. At a point in my life, those I knew as heroes were those who sell drugs. This is my life. I'm a lawyer now. I'm telling you that at a point in my life, those I knew as heroes, that we call as heroes, who you go to if somebody wants to harass you, intimidate you, beat you, you go to them to save you. They sell drugs to the extent that when you go to the football playing field, they can determine who will play the match. So if you have a ball to pick with him, you can decide that you are not playing. Forget your talent. Yes, and that's what happened. And that was our world, though. We don't deal with the police. You can't be friends with the police in such an environment because you'll be viewed in a certain way that you are a spy for the police. You are an informant, and you don't want that tag on you.
Snitch.
Because it can cost your life. So we are talking about people who live with us, but they also live in their world. So if you don't look at the child as a victim of the society, and you see like, oh, this is a person or an adult who has committed a crime, he should be punished for it,
He's a bad
you
boy.
will be mistaken. That's why, like I told you earlier, the worst case scenario, they will be sent to detention for 3 years, not imprisonment. And that is a correctional center for them to be reformed so that they can be brought back into society. And the law even allows for their names to be expunged from our criminal records, so that it should never reflect in the
they
future.
have a clean start.
Because, to be very honest with you, a child who has been given proper parental care, attention, growth, not if he's indeed 18, he will not be going to SS now. He just started SS 4 days before the crime. 4 days. He's not starting SS. So let's see how society can help them become responsible children. And this adults, this video that came out, to be very honest, it is not good at all. Of all the information that could have leaked, even names can be changed.
Yeah.
And his name is out there.
The identities are not supposed to be known.
Right.
But the picture today, they say the internet doesn't forget.
No, that's it.
A picture you put out on your Facebook wall can remain there for God knows how long, even beyond after your death. And this boy's picture is out there. Even if he changes his name, somebody can easily pick the picture and say, ah, this is the boy. Imagine, where is he going to work? Who's going to allow his daughter to marry? Just look at the impact, and that if you're not careful, you want to push him into the dark world more. So the society will be like, this is going to be the jungle, because I would have not been given a chance. I didn't tell my parents to give birth to me in the poor state in which they were, and they gave birth to me, and I'm here. They didn't take care of me. I tried to struggle to make it out by myself, because sometimes, you know, when it's a boy child and it's growing, and the mom sells maybe tomatoes, something on a very small income level scale, and the boy is growing, he feels like, no, let me make it and take my mother from you know that mindset. Let me try and make it and take it out from take my mother out from the misery, the poverty.
Savior mentality.
Yes,
I need to save the situation.
I mean, why should we be suffering? Look at where we are living. No, I have to make it.
Yeah.
And many don't get the right way to make it, because they don't see mentors. The mentors they see are people also doing these drugs, doing this ritual, and that's what they've been told. And these are areas, if you go, you find them there. Young boys, some JHS, he's not even finished BC. He's driving the latest car and this DV. The next minute he sold it, but another one. So the boy is looking, how come this guy has this car? Look at my state of me and my mom. I also want the same thing. Then he goes to follow. He's told that this is what they do. So he goes to do some. So let's look at it from that failure on the part of society for such person. And there are many, many coming in. Look at those that are being brought in from northern Nigeria to beg on the street. These are professional beggars. And I ask myself, in 10 years' time, what would they be doing? 15, 20 years, what would they be doing? And we are all looking. We are all pretending. You are driving your car, you've rolled your windows are up, your AC. They come and knock. Some will by force come and they want to wipe your windscreen for you or wash it for you. You know? And we say, oh, go, or you give it 2 cedis, 3 cedis. In 10 years, in 15 years, 20 years, what are you going to become?
They scare me.
Well, it's scary too.
I'm being very real.
It's scary.
They honestly, because sometimes when you look into their eyes, and I understand that they are victims. I appreciate that as well. But then there's something there. I don't know if it's the influence of something. There's just something off.
No, Amma, it's just an element of parental irresponsibility that has put all these children there. And society lack of appreciation of what the law says is what we are saying. And to add some to what the lawyer was saying, in dealing with children, there are some 4 cardinal things that we look at, that we have signed to the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child. And having appended our signature as the first country, there are things that we need to always look at. One is looking at everything that we are doing. We ask ourselves, is it in the best interest of the child? Is it in the best interest of the child? Then we need to look at it. Secondly, is the child being discriminated at? Because he's a male, she's a female, she comes from a poor home, she has done this, and that is the kind of discrimination we are talking about. Now, their images are all around. As lawyer mentioned, they grow. Oh, were you not the one? I won't employ you. I won't support you. The psychological effect that we are putting these children when they are growing is going to be very difficult. So that is why we always want to look at the discrimination so that we will protect their identity in such a way that they will not be discriminated against. The next one is the development and survival. In all the things that we are doing, we should look at, is it geared towards the survival and development of the child in such a way that within the environment you feel like I'm being developed. This is my survivor and I'm being helped to survive. And that is very essential that we need to understand. And the last one we talk about is what we call child participation. The child should understand every decision, every action that he or she intends to take. That is why we said that if you are below the age of 12 years, we have not reached the age of criminality, because we know that we have not developed that mindset of thinking positively or thinking negatively. So that is that. So when the children are below the age of 18 years, that is from 12 to 18 years, that is when we need that 4 pillars to guide them, to ensure that whatever they are doing, we are protecting their growth, and then they can really grow up to what we want. In dealing with them, I think we need to really look at how do we take a reflection, look at where we are faulted, where do we need to tighten the law, and then push the agenda forward.
Right.
For us to have signed the Convention on the Rights of the Child and the African Charter, we have no excuse of what we are doing.
Right.
If you take Americans, they have not signed the Convention on the Rights of the Child. So if an American, you are 1 year, and even your father's gun is there and you pick it, and you're able to press it and it hits somebody, the laws in America will deal with you, because they feel that you have taken your own responsibility. So that is why we need to look at what we have as a country and see what we can also do to ensure that at all times our children are being developed.
Absolutely. I want us to take a break at this point, but when we come back, my question to both of you is, are we sure we can reform these boys? Are we sure? Let's think about that, when we come back. Can we reform these boys? That's one. And two, let's look at the legal implications of all the issues we think have sort of contributed to this. Let's talk about television, content, regulation, all of these issues, and what the law says. For instance, if I flip on my channel and suddenly there's a malam in my room telling me to bring a fowl and a goat, and he will give me a Land Cruiser by Easter Monday, as a parent, can I sue this, and I refuse to call them media outlets, because that's not media. That's not a media outlet. Everybody say, no, blame the media. What has the media got to do with it? You know where to find proper media when you take your TV channel. That's not a media outlet. That's, for me, is not a definition of what a media outlet is. So these are the issues I want us to ponder over when we come back from the break. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Every day he has a drink filled with malt. Every day he has a drink filled with malt and milk. Every day he has a drink filled with malt, milk, and cocoa. Every day he needs the nutritious goodness of Milo. Milo, the energy to go further. This advert is FDA approved. Every day he looks after his brother and chases a bus. Every day he looks after his brother, chases a bus, and learns new things. Every day he looks after his brother, chases a bus, learns new things, and gets back home. Every day he looks after his brother, chases a bus, learns new things, gets back home, and helps his mom. Phew. That's why every day he needs his cup of Milo filled with the nutritious goodness of malt, milk, and cocoa. Milo, the energy to go further.
From Nestle.
This advert is FDA approved.
Whatever the occasion, with ATL, you can never be out of style. ATL, bringing fabric to life.
Welcome back from the break. This is still The Couch. My name is Maame Pratt. I am in conversation with Mr. Berima Akpesia Mankwa, National Coordinator, GNCRC, and of course Faisal Ibrahim Suze. He's a legal practitioner, lawyer papa. Right? Thank you so much for this conversation. Let me read a few of the messages that have come in. This one... Whoa, there's a lot. Okay. This one says, "Hi, Amma. Is this murder case not another Kafaba murder case that did not get anywhere after the plenty noise that was made on TV? What is the guarantee that after 2 weeks, this case will not die off like many others? Ayo, Ghana." This one says, "Good evening. Please tell your panelists that governments have failed us. This has nothing to do with parental upbringing." Right. The person sending me good morning, I wonder. Walanyo in Akwetia says, "Amma, something has gone wrong. If not, how did we cook it? And it isn't well prepared."
You want to say Nambe?
That that teeming teenagers who are under their parents' control could contemplate to that extent for money ritual. Somebody wants your number, a lawyer. Let's get right into it. Can we reform these boys? I've been to the correctional institute.
Bosta.
the Buster home in Jolu. I've been there. I spent some time, a long time ago actually. I want to go there again. I want to experience that, see if there are any, you know, and I see what they take them through. They do basket weaving, you know, they give them skills. They have strict routines, you know. So I've experienced, and I'm wondering, are we sure that we have the capacity to reform them? Worst case, even if they get a full 3 years, even if within that 3 years, are we sure? I'll start with you. The child rights activists, I'll come to you, lawyer.
I think we can do something. And for that matter, what can we do? If you look at the number of correctional centers that are available as at now, with the exception of, let's say, Buster Home, where else do you have again? That is the first question.
Right.
The second question is that children are not supposed to be mixed up with adults. And I don't know the police station that they are now,
Right.
whether they are having a remand home. So we see that for the children, they are supposed to have what we call a remand home. That is the period that they are going to be. So they are not supposed to be in cell. So at the remand home, you have to get a counselor, psychologist, and other things, trying to find out, to understand what really the situation is. And when they have come to the level of acceptability, then the court, their case is heard in court, on camera, not public gallery.
Right.
And then they are given those terms to serve. That is when the next ladder come on board for us to see how best we continue from where we left. But here is the case as a country. We have not put up that facility that is going to help us to really transform our children in that context. Because where the case happened is Kaswa is central region.
Right.
But in the central region, do we have that facility there? If, for instance, that happened in Tamale, do we have that facility there?
Right.
The remand home and the correctional center. If it has happened in Ashanti region, do we have the facility there to transform these children? And this is very critical that we need to look at as a nation. If we do an inventory and you don't have, we need to look at how do we improvise. In improvising, there we look at what we call now we have the Justice for Children policy. So the Justice for Children policy is also looking at, in the event we don't have this, can we look at what is suitable within our context, and then look at how do we provide within our context and ensure that we are able to put these children back to society, and then they can do that. We can do that when also society value children and see that we all need to contribute for their survival and their development, for their reforms. And for that matter, here I'm talking about the private sector, the religious organizations coming on board to say that if a child is not reformed today, the consequences, it could be on me. If I'm not able to help the child reform today, if the child picks a gun, picks a knife, and come to me in my home, and me, myself, and my family are going to suffer. So therefore, we need to look at how do we, as a society, contribute to this reformation, so that we will have the remand home, we have the correctional center put in place in such a way that the children can be reformed there. I have visited some of these remand homes and correctional centers, and we have to advocate that it should be closed down, because there wasn't any importance of its existence, because it's supposed to serve as a bridge. But here is the case, the bridge is already broken. So how then do you solve the problem? The problem cannot be solved. So we need to look at how do we begin to put up structures, and then we'll be able to. If you take there's one in Greater Accra here. A story I heard was that some children were able to burn the building and they were able to escape. A remand home. How can children, even at the remand home, form such an opinion?
Mr. Mankwa, so what are you saying? Are you saying that we are able to reform these kids?
That's what I'm saying. That
are we able to? Are we able to reform these kids?
We should
don't
be.
have the facilities where we have to. And where we have the facility, you and I agree that
that's what I'm saying, that
what we have is woefully inadequate.
That's what I'm saying, that we should be able to say that now, where we have reached as a society, we need to take an inventory and say that now we need to put up structures. Now we see a lot of police stations being built. You ask them how many of them even had a remand home within the police cell to accommodate children.
Right.
Those are critical things, because whether we like it or not, children will come in conflict or in contact with the law. And when they come in conflict or contact with the law, how do the system support the process?
Especially if we have laws stipulated for how they should be handled.
Yeah.
Then we should make sure that
the facilities
to support what the law says, because then it becomes meaningless law.
Yeah.
If this is what the law says, but on the ground we cannot.
Absolutely.
You know.
So it's a big responsibility.
But you see, with the facility itself, the Buster home itself, it can't all be about skills training. There has to be psychological training. There has to be issues about how to bring them up, you know, with the rights.
You know, some of them.
I wonder if we take those ones into account.
Of writing BEC, SSC.
Right. It's true.
And then
yes,
those are part of the reforms, because we don't want you to waste your time.
But I'm not talking about BEC.
No,
I'm talking about character building.
The character building. That's why I keep on saying that we need to begin to come together. For instance, there are people, lawyers and co, they do pro bono services, isn't it? So, for instance, psychological counseling association or whatever can say that, okay, maybe once a week
we'll go
there. One of our staff will go there and offer counseling services.
Right.
Those are things that we can easily do it.
Right.
Sometimes when we talk about Ghana Beyond Aid, I always say that we need to look at the resources available to us and begin to use it meaningfully.
The best way that we
can. The best way out.
Thank you. Briefly, because our time is almost done. Do you think that we can reform? I'm telling you, the time runs when you're having most fun. Because I want us to take the meat of the conversation. This media thing. I want us to give that time.
Okay, we'll come
yes, it's important to me. Do you think that we can reform these?
You see, I think as a society we haven't done enough.
Right.
You see, even when you get parental care, you go to school, you finish school, securing a job is even an issue. I'm saying that those who've been given all the facilities to become full-grown adults, responsible adults, are struggling to make it in life. Imagine the one who has such a background.
Right.
So to be very honest with you, we haven't devoted enough attention, resources, logistics, facilities towards building people who falter along the way. Because those who even grow to become responsible people, they struggle. Our society here, we struggle to make it. How much more the one you falter along the way? People can easily make reference to your background, that when you were this, you defiled a child, or you raped someone, you killed someone. Then even adults, when they go to prison and back, be a lawyer and go to prison and back.
The stigma.
Even adults who's achieved something in life. How much more a child? So to be honest, I mean, knowing the facilities that we have, the police stations, even for adults, the cell they live in, the cell they are kept, a suspect, not a convicted person, a suspect who at the end of the trial the judge can say you are acquitted, go home. Even where they are kept when they are on remand, is nothing to write home about. And I have not seen any in my practice. I have not seen any police station where they have even the smallest of space purposely for
children,
juvenile. I have not seen any. So then you are forced to mix him up with adults who've committed all kinds of crimes.
So if you ask listening to all these conversations,
and they'll ask you, what did you do? How next time you shouldn't have done this, you should have done this way, and done this way. That's why people actually go in there and come out and they become more hardened.
Thank you.
So to be honest, I don't think the facilities that we have are enough. So what I can say is use the opportunity to call on my own government.
Right.
And say to the Minister for Gender Social Protection and possibly the Minister for Finance, some devotion should be given to some of these things. They seem little, but they go a long way. They seem little. They seem to be there. Not there. If you watch, these are the matters that have normally come in the headlines, in budget, and everybody's looking out for how much money has been sent to the Boston institution. People don't actually ask. Nobody actually cares until such issues come up. Then we're asking, oh, which facility are you supposed to remand them? Oh, where are they going to be detained? Oh, and then we talk about it for a week or two. But for you discussing this program, I've not heard any media house discussing it as of today. And maybe when we are done with this program, we are done, then we are gone. And we are done. We are waiting for another preliminary somewhere, Nima, Bamubi, Newtown. Another one comes, and then hey, we start all over again. Bring the lawyer. What is the law saying? Then we repeat what we are saying. That's the problem we have with our country. We don't take steps to forestall problems from reoccurring. We don't learn. We only talk about it, and everybody comes to talk about it. And we all go back, and nothing happens. Nothing. It kills me. For some weeks now, I've stopped going to media because I realize it's like we are just saying and saying and saying. And we just talk. We're a talking nation. Nothing happening. Nobody actually takes steps. Nobody. One of the things I'm excited about recently is the Rasta matter for Achimota School. At least they've gone to court. At least they've gone to court. Even though yesterday it was a ruling that didn't go too well as far as their case is concerned. But I want the court to make a pronouncement on certain issues. And the way the court does, everybody falls in line. That is how civilized societies are built. Right. Your laws are working, the judgments are given. Then guys are conduct going forward. But if you are not going to court, trust me, that matter would have ended, and then a year or two after, another Rasta person will go to Accra or somewhere else, and he's denied. Then we come and discuss the same matter all over again, and he ends. And there's never any final. I don't even get it. What sort of society we live in? Right. Because I mean, we watch the documentaries. Look, Ama, to the extent that today, the Western world, they are producing documentaries about murders, about serial killers, and how the police was able to go through the steps. Right. And they are sending these documentaries to us to watch. Think about it, Ama. A crime has been committed in America. They've done a documentary about how the police there, the steps they took in unraveling and arresting the criminal and prosecuted him. And they've turned that into a video. Right. For me and you to spend money, to pay Netflix, to sit and watch. Right. And after watching, I'm asking myself, so if people are packaging even crime for me to watch, to pay a watch. They are the most engaging things you could do. What was it real life stuff? And you ask yourself, look at the trial that is ongoing about Floyd. Right. Even the lady who received the 911 call. Right. The way she's telling about her work, her daily routine. Are we the same? Like, did the same God create the two of us? I mean, and they're giving you detail. This is how systems work. Even there they have problems. Here we have none. We have none. This case, it will take grace, to be very honest with you. If you ask me, it takes the grace for them to be reformed. Maybe some Holy Spirit will appear to them in their dream, you know, and then all of a sudden they attach and they become pastors or something. But sometimes those are the ways. But there are also limited ways of reforming people. The system should be fair, level playing ground. So if the rich man's son who has done this, he could go and come out. The poor man's son could fall in, go and come out. But if you are poor from a low master, even if you're a rich man, I mean, let's face it, the best of lawyers could have come in. And I'm telling you, this matter, if it's determined that they are below 18, one of the provisions in the law says that when you are interviewing them, section 13 of the law, a parent, a lawyer, a probation officer should be present. If they are not present, everything they've said is inadmissible in court. If you are from a poor home, the tendency is that no lawyer is there, so he will not even raise the question, and you go through. But if you are from a rich home, a lawyer will engage the best of brains, and they'll sit there and look at the law and say, oh, okay, the parent was not there, the lawyer was not there, you ask him all these questions, he admitted it. Sorry, you cannot take it in. Right. And it's tossed out. So you have no evidence to even stand on to be prosecuting, because it's coming from a good, economically empowered home. Right. But the one living in Kasua, whose grandfather is even saying things about him, right, they don't allow to even come and defend him, and he's likely to go in 3 years. So eventually it comes to the economic power of the parents. So those who have money have the laws working for them.
System.
Those who don't have it, the system will beat them unfairly.
You're right.
Wow. Wow. Okay. So there are so many questions that I have as follow-ons, but I also want to tackle this legal issue. I'm looking at the time now, you know. So if you don't mind, you know, I hope that one of these days, all three of us could go to the Boston Institute.
To go and do a show there?
Yes, have a look and then discuss what we see. I've done a show there before. I did a very extensive show at the Boston Institute some time ago, but now I think it's very important that we have that conversation again, you know, and look at what we have.
The facilities.
And if this is what our law books speak about, and if anybody truly can be reformed from what
that
we
institution.
have. Exactly. Okay. So now let's read a few of the messages and come back and talk about this media. Right. This one says, we live in a world being influenced by juju that you can exchange human parts or body for money. This really needs to stop. You didn't tell us your name or where you're sending that in from. This one says, well done. Amatel Faisal, he is on point. This one says, right, please, a child who comes from a poor home, just as lawyer has said, there are people in the family that can help these people, but they won't help at all. I believe a brother, auntie, uncle, talking about societal, educational. Okay, if you see that the child has no educational background, or you can support the child, right? Some of these children have no good qualification. And that is what we are seeing today. His name is Elijah from Teshi. He says, thank you, lawyer. I'm really enjoying this conversation. God bless you all. Ama, you do all. God bless you all. This one says, I am disappointed. We need to punish them according to what the Bible says. And he quotes Ephesians 6:1-2. You didn't tell us your name. Right. This one says, good evening to you all. So, Mr. Lawyer, are you saying every child below 18 years can commit this atrocity and go scot-free because society and the family has failed them? In fact, I disagree with you. Were they the only children who went through life challenges as children? You guys have failed to hit the nail on the head. The money-making fetish priests who we have allowed to advertise their products on various TV stations are the causes of this. The system frowns on the use of cane or corporal punishment for correction and the discipline of a child. So he's looking at all the other causes. He's saying it's the media. He's saying it's the absence of corporal punishment. You know, and all of these things. And I always use myself as an example when this issue of corporal punishments comes up. I was not beaten as a child. In my home, my parents did not subscribe to hitting a child. I don't think that I turned out badly. So when people insist that when you take out corporal punishment, you destroy a child, I'm a little worried. Because I don't think that I'm destroyed in any way, shape or form. So this argument, you know, it doesn't sit well with me at all. Meanwhile, I know children that were really beaten who turned out horribly. You know, so this corporal punishment argument, I mean, I've heard it a couple of times, and every time I hear it, I use myself as an example. I do not agree, you know. I don't agree at all. But this issue of fetish priests has come up again. It is horrible. It is horrible. And for me, it's not just about the fetish priests. It's also about the pastors. It runs both ways. Let's not be hypocrites. It runs both ways.
Of course.
Please, I'll start with you. Isn't this a danger?
It's a major danger that we have entangled ourselves with. And it's only law that can help us settle or help us to separate the chaff from the food, the fruit itself. You see, I always say that as a society, if we create laws and the laws are not working, then it becomes a bad law. And this is a reflection of what we see. We have good laws, but because we are not implementing those laws, they have now become what? Bad laws. Let's take the media. We have the traditional media, we have the social media, and then we have what we call the electronic or other things that have in place. All these, no one can say that here in Ghana we don't have laws on all these.
Right.
We have beautiful laws on these. Who are the regulatory agencies that are monitoring and ensuring that if you flout it, this level of punishment is going to be meted out to you? We have make it in such a way that it's who you know, who you talk to, that your case will be heard, that your case will be resolved. And that is where we find ourselves in now. Because I believe that if per the laws that we have, if you go contrary to this act, and these are the measures.
And we do actually have laws.
Yes.
You know, I've had the opportunity of engaging, you know, our information minister on this issue privately. I was hoping that he could have the opportunity to engage publicly, but every time we make arrangements, something seems to take him away from me. So I'm still hoping, I hope you are watching, I'm still hoping for that interview. But he insists that there are laws in this country that have even been used before, that can be used now for him by the regulators, and by the regulators he means the NMC, to handle this issue. Now the NMC says, nada, we do not have the authority. The NMC says, we've tried before, Parliament stopped us. We tried to use the regulations access to test if we could, and we were stopped by Parliament. So now we have a situation where the ministry and the NMC are like this on two separate ends of the issue.
I don't see
what happens?
I don't see it to be a problem, because when you come out with the Mother Policy, Mother Act, there is a LI that goes with it. So are they speaking to themselves, or they are departing? So those are the things that we need to go back. And here we are talking about those who are supposed to monitor. You go to advanced countries, somebody is sitting on the television just watching.
Right.
What really is going on?
Right. That's somebody's job, and the person takes that job very seriously.
But here's the case now here in Ghana, who takes that job? Who monitors? I have had a cause of complaining, for instance, to, let's say, Food and Drug Board about adverts that are being rolled on television. You get it? Written to them, expecting that maybe they will act, they respond to it. And all these things, you sit back and then there's no answer to it. Because I don't see the reason. If I have been a complainant and written to you, I think you should find ways and means and ensure that you respond to me and investigate what it's been done.
Right.
But here's the case, we leave it, and then they come through, and then we are where we are.
Right. Let me come to
Emma, let me respond to the comments the gentleman made earlier regarding that if a person is below 18 years, it means he cannot commit a crime or be set court. No, I didn't say that. I'm saying the law says that if the person is below 18 and above 12 years, the person has come into conflict with the law, and there is a special law that deals with the person. There is nowhere in there that it says that you can go scot-free. No. If you commit crimes, even petty crimes, there are ways to go about it. If it's a serious crime like murder, like in this case, rape, defilement, indecent assault, robbery, these are all offenses that they are clearly spelled out ways. But it is the way you go about it that, if you're not careful, you end up giving them the freedom. Because, for instance, one of the reasons why the AG is insisting that the CID should determine their age is that if they are all below 18, they must be prosecuted within 6 months, even if it's a serious offense.
Right.
Within 6 months means if it goes beyond 6 months by 1 day, they must be discharged.
Right.
And by that means they are going scot-free. This is what the law says. And you can't do anything about it. So we needed to put this in so that Ghanaians are aware. Because, like I said, it's a normal thing because of the heinous nature of the alleged act. Everybody to call for their blood.
Right.
We want to kill him, slaughter him, beat him. But eventually, when the law is put in action, you realize that things are not going the way you expect. So we use this medium to also educate people so that at least they are aware. Now, coming back to the regulation matter, you see, one of the things we are good at in our laws is always put in a clause that makes reference to public morality, public interest. You see, these are terms that are nebulous, they are vague in nature. But the import why they are so is to give the person occupying the public office room to maneuver in extreme cases like we have now. So that if he says that, or take action based on any public interest or morality matter, then it's giving you the blank check. But that must be exercised in a restrained manner. Else it gives the public officer the room to even shut down radio stations perceived to be anti-government. Then he says that, because you are saying this, it's against
the... have seen.
No, I haven't said that. Please.
I am saying it.
Amma, don't do that, please.
No, this is on.
We are having a very serious national discussion.
This is a serious national discussion because I find it troubling that we can shut down certain radio and TV stations that do not do a quarter of the things that some of these other TV and radio stations
do. If you want to have a time, me and you one-on-one on this matter, we'll have it.
Okay.
We're also discussing the law.
Right.
We're also discussing some of the resources that actually went to the tribunal.
Public interest.
A ruling of the tribunal that had said that because you failed to renew so, then you should apply afresh. They didn't say. The public officer didn't say. This was a tribunal.
Time for this conversation.
I told you don't go there. I told you don't go there.
Because it's mind-boggling for me. I'm serious. The regulators could focus their lens here, when obviously the problem is not here. This is where the problem is.
Okay, because I'm going to find another day.
Let's come back to this conversation.
So you see, and I like the point that my brother made about the social media. You see, whilst I'm agreeing with those who are calling for such things to be done on your regular TV stations, because so far I haven't seen any culture that allows for money ritual.
Right.
I haven't seen any. So nobody can say it's an infringement on the culture or any religion. No religion says that.
About spirituality.
No, spirituality, what is that? Or what is that?
I mean, the freedom to...
Look, I'm saying that...
express your spirituality.
It's to murder another person for money. No, I haven't seen any. There's no such spirituality or the ritual, anything like that. It's a crime.
Right. Yeah.
And anybody involved in it must be arrested and prosecuted. That's why the fetish priestess has been arrested.
Right. Because
if she indeed told them to go and do it, then she has an answer.
So we can't arrest the fetish.
Exactly. Yeah. She has been arrested. Because if you tell somebody that if I can give you money, go and kill this person, the person goes to do it, you have abetted that crime. Because you have encouraged, you have informed, you have goaded, you have all the things facilitated. You know, giving the person motive, giving the person intention why he should do so. When you know, to be very, very honest, I don't think all this thing they do actually gives people money.
No, I don't believe it either.
To be very, very honest,
fraud.
It's just tricks they use. Yeah, I've seen videos, and some of those who have done those things, who are telling you how they sit even on live TV. They bring a box, they put things under, and they two boxes, they put it in. Actually, I'll afford it to you. Please, 2 boxes, I'll afford it to you. And they close it and turn it. In one side, money is in there already. Another one, they put in leaves. I'm telling you, they'll be saying things and they'll be rolling the box, knowing where the money is, and they bring where the money is up. So when they open it, they smell it, they say, hey, the guy is on TV, just turn leaves into money. It's not true. It's tricks.
Imagine.
It's tricks. But because people do not know, they believe it is true. And because when they see it too, it's gone. But the bigger challenge I'm also saying is when Malam Natia sends friend request on Facebook, how does NCA come in there? Or National Media Commission? Because social media is where the bigger issue is now.
Oh no, not anymore, Faisal. I disagree.
They sponsor it now.
I appreciate that, but you would decline. Most people I know decline the friend request. They get
when you sponsor a page.
But if it's
it just comes.
Faisal, this is just on your screen. All you need is a remote. You see, for you and me, it's not a problem, right? And let's
The
not
children.
pretend. Yes, for some very gullible people. And sometimes, somebody might not be so gullible. He's just desperate.
Desperate, yeah, it's such a...
So you just meet
serious
the
issue.
person at a point of his...
Lowest, and then he's willing to just go
Because
along.
really, what does he have to lose?
Yeah, to try it and see. Right.
It's a serious issue.
Yeah.
I can't believe that we are all just sitting down and watching this thing go on and on and on and on.
Because
And
we are
between the
sitting down.
ministry and the NMC, nothing gets done. Up till today that we are speaking, in spite of all the public outcry, up till today, they are still operating on our TV screens. What kind of a people are we?
No, first I mentioned where there's a conflict of, what I call it, of interest, where the National Media Commission think that they have this kind of law that they can use, and then they try to apply it, and then Parliament says no, you can't use it. So we need to situate it in context and say that, okay, if we want this law to work, what are the legislative instruments that's supposed to back that law? And then Parliament will not come in. It becomes public knowledge, and for that matter, everybody who want to prosecute can use those laws and do it. But we haven't, because it is not in somebody's interest.
It's the lack of political will.
It's not in somebody's interest.
It's the numbers.
And for that matter, we need to go beyond that.
You see, for me, the hypocrisy here is that we cannot close down the malam and leave the pastor.
Really?
Yes.
Why?
And we are afraid of closing down the pastor because we are looking at all those heads, all the thumbs in that church. And the number of votes you are going to lose if you close down that TV station and incur the wrath of all those people.
You see,
that's always a problem in this
Amma,
country.
do you think it's very easy to... So if I'm to tell you or to put you on the spot,
Puts me on the spot.
and I say that if you are the chairman for NMC, close down all the church stations. I know you have some in mind that you will close, but there's some that you leave, right?
Yes.
Based on your judgment, right?
Not based on my
See,
judgment.
No,
It cannot be based on my judgment.
but
At this point,
no, I understand you. All I'm saying is
all
that
of us as
the implementation, you see,
objective bystander
exactly,
can tell
exactly.
which one is in our interest and which one is not in our interest.
So when you
Public morality,
right,
public good.
that's why I say it's a nebulous term. That's why I'm saying that you have to exert with a certain restraint. That's why many public officers are afraid of going down, because the moment he sits and he says that, oh, it's maybe this pastor, that pastor, this malam, this fetish priest, and now grab down this person, let's close. Somebody is saying that, why are you closing mine? Why are you not closing yours? Is it because he speaks English? Is that why you're leaving
Now
him?
they all speak English.
No, you're not getting what I'm saying.
Oh, you don't
Using
watch.
it as an example.
Oh, me, I watch.
I'm just using
Now
that as an
they even speak French.
serious.
They have French translators.
It means there are other people in Cote d'Ivoire.
Yes,
watching
they want
them.
to reach the international market.
But that's what I'm saying. So the moment you do that, then you think you're doing it in an objective manner, but in actual fact you're doing it in a subjective manner. Somebody said this thing that is it because this pastor wears...
Shut them all down then.
You know, shut down all the station. It's a religious country, right? You know, very, very religious.
Is this religiosity?
Very, very, very religious
Hold on,
country.
Pfizer. Is this religion though? Is this religion?
No, it is not. That's what I'm saying.
We are killing.
It is because of the way
Children are killing children.
No.
In the name of this religion, we want to hold on to this religion.
No.
Is this what we
like I
want?
mentioned earlier, there's no religion that endorses what those kids did. But I'm just saying that it is easier said than that when you are put in the public office and you are told to point which ones should be shut down.
So let's shut them all down. Shut them all down. All of them.
I think they said that you don't stand in...
All of them.
You don't stand in ants
So easy.
and begin to remove ants.
So easy, but I
You
don't think
need to
that-
apply the law
without fear.
without fear or
So
favor.
shut them all
No.
down.
So therefore, we need people that is going to say that I'm going to watch and ensure that they are doing the regular thing. I'll keep on saying that. We have all the resources that are available to us, but just that we have not been using it. It doesn't necessarily mean that I should sit in this office before I can monitor your show. Wherever I am, with technology and everything, you can assign, let's say, 2 people or 3 people to one station, monitor, see whether they are doing what is expected of them, and at the end of the day, give report. Any default that you find, you write a report. The time, for instance, if it's an advert, the time that the advert was shown and other things, they all have the recordings.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, you can easily give out punishments that are due these media houses. But here's the case that people are not being responsible towards what they are supposed to do. And it puts us all in a difficult situation. And at the end of the day, we are doing nothing.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, our time is up.
I agree entirely with him for such a system to be put in place. Because we need to work towards this. It's really not helping us.
Absolutely. So I would say thank you to you, Abdul Basit, Linda Adin, Annette Latte, Harriet Nate, hey, a host of Diplomatic Affairs, I see you on Facebook, Harina Yakubu, Mas Babatu, Kella, I'm sorry, I can't read any of your messages. Also to you, Abdallah, and to you, James, all of you who are sending messages, and, those that I can see their names. Unfortunately, I can't read any of them, but I have learned a lot, this evening from this show. Thank you so much to you, our guests. At this point, I want to give a special shout out to Ezel Fashion. They gave me this lovely jacket that I'm wearing. Actually, it's the second time I'm wearing something, from Ezel Fashion on the show. I wore their dress on Friday when I was with Comedian, and today too I'm wearing their jacket. Lovely, very nice. You can see made with ATL fabrics. Their number 020-839-1083 or 020-7000-171 or 050-914-1005. Hit them up and they would sort you out. It doesn't matter what you need. They will have you sorted out. Thank you to you, Mr. Berima Christian Mankwa, a National Coordinator, GNCRC, a child rights activist. Thank you to you, Lawyer Faisal Ibrahim, sister legal practitioner. Always a pleasure. I really learned from both of you this evening. Thank you so much. Thank you for watching. Thank you for staying with Pan Africa TV. Don't go nowhere. Justice Up Here is up next with Hot News. See you tomorrow. Bye.
Every day, he has a drink filled with malt. Every day, he has a drink filled with malt and milk. Every day, he has a drink filled with malt, milk, and cocoa. Every day, he needs the nutritious goodness of Milo. Milo, the energy to go further. This advert is FDA approved.